This is TV 10 and 55 Focus, a program dealing with issues affecting everyone on Long Island and the tri-state area. Now your host, Richard Rose.
Hi, I'm Richard Rose, and welcome to Focus. Today we're talking about the academic world, still shocked by the news last week that some students in Nassau County had become embroiled in a scandal where they cheated, allegedly, on the most prestigious of all tests, the SATs. Here's more.
It's very, very sad that these students felt the need to cheat. However, it wasn't terribly surprising considering the high-stakes nature.
Hofstra professor Eustace Thompson is talking about the 7 people who have been arrested, all current or former Great Neck North High School students, for their roles in an alleged cheating ring. Officials say that between 2010 and 2011, 6 students at Great Neck North High School paid 19-year-old Samuel Eschagoff of Great Neck to take the SAT for them so they would achieve a higher score. Eschagoff is now a student at Emory University who completed his freshman year at the University of Michigan and is a 2010 Great Neck North graduate. He reportedly accepted payments of $1,500 and $2,500 per student. The 6 students who hired him face misdemeanor charges. They are not being identified due to their ages and the nature of the charges. Meanwhile, one local resident says yes, if convicted, the 6 former and current high school students should be punished. But at the same time, he doesn't feel they should be punished too severely.
Doesn't matter if you get into Yale or Harvard. You could do the same thing in going to Binghamton. And I hope that you would be given community service.
In Great Neck, Oriana D'Agostino, TV 10 and 55 News.
So just how important and how big a problem is this? To help us out, we have with us Dr. Warren Frisna. Welcome to the show. He is the Dean of the Honors School at Hofstra University. The Honors College.
Yes.
That's right. So first of all, Dr. Frisna, what is the Honors College?
Well, the Honors College at Hofstra is designed to provide students who are at the very highest caliber a entry into the university, a sense of community, and be part of a subgroup within the larger university pursuing their academic ambitions.
And how widespread do you think this problem is that we just heard described here? Because we're not asking you to talk about these students in particular, but is this just the tip of the iceberg, or do you think that this is just an isolated example? So,
you know, people talk about statistics and how statistics can be used in lots of different directions. I mean, I could use a statistic that tells you that 70% of students have cheated in some way, shape, or form during their college career. There are national studies. And that's a shocking number, and you think, oh my God, we have a huge, huge problem here. But then when you get down into it, when you talk about the differences of the kinds of cheating we're talking about, a student who acknowledges that maybe he shaded a bit when doing some homework that he was supposed to do by himself and he talked to his friend about it, that kind of collaboration versus the high-end cheating where someone buys a paper or pays somebody to take an exam for them. That kind of cheating is a minuscule, very small, 1–2% of the population ever engages in anything like that.
Well, and if they did do this, as alleged, they were caught.
Yes, they were. And so a percentage of them engage in it, a percentage of them are caught. I mean, I think these things are serious and they need to be addressed, but I don't think what we want to do is have an incident like this and somehow come to the conclusion that there are students running rampant through the system, you know, cheating their way in. And I don't want the students who are acting honestly to be demoralized by this kind of information, because sometimes you get the impression, well, everybody's doing this, and that's just not true.
Yeah, in sports you had the whole steroids phenomenon where more and more players started taking steroids because they couldn't compete with the athletes who were taking it. And I think that's what the Nassau District Attorney who's handling these cases in this prosecution, Kathleen Rice, is saying. She goes, you know, it may seem like it's not a big deal or just they cheated to get a better score, to do well for themselves, but they took the place of someone else who could have maybe gained entrance to that school. Is that a valid concern?
Yeah, I think that it's a serious issue when you catch somebody engaged in this kind of blatant violation of this basic standards of just human decency. Then you have to respond, and so we have to have in place ways to check, make sure, validate that the right people are taking the tests, who say they're taking the tests, and all those kinds of things. So that, I think, is important. On the other hand, we're hardwired to be wary when something goes awry. That's the kind of creatures that we are. And so sometimes you see an incident like this and you extrapolate from that to the faulty conclusion that everybody or large numbers of people are engaged in this behavior. And if you look at the millions of students who take SATs every year, the number or the percentage who engage in cheating, and certainly cheating of this level, is minuscule.
You know, when I was young, I was one of those phone counselors that would take phone calls for people who were setting up scheduling for the SAT tests. I worked for the company that administers these in Princeton, New Jersey. I think it's ETS. Yep. And I'm not sure exactly what that stands for. Educational Testing Services. Right. So it's been a while since I was there. And I'd be one of the callers, then they would be so earnest about setting it up. And I remember the people who administered the program said, you know, that they really had stringent standards, that people who were cheating would be caught. And then you see an example like this and you wonder, is there a way to game the system? Do you think there's more widespread cheating than the authorities seem to be onto?
Well, you know, it's like all aspects of life. There will always be a proportion of the population that looks to get around the rules, that looks to gain some kind of advantage. Do I think it's much larger than what we've seen here? Surely there are people doing it and not getting caught otherwise.
Yeah, because this was a fairly elaborate scheme that a lot of people were impressed that you know, they went to they went to a different school so that the proctors, the people who watch over the class while they're taking the test, wouldn't know who they were. He used his own picture allegedly, this gentleman, but signed in as the name of the person who was paying him, again allegedly, to take the test in their place. And he was apparently a very brilliant student who'd done well in the SATs himself and gained a pretty good entry into college. And so they were hiring somebody that they knew would do well on the test. But that makes you think that it's really not that hard to cheat the system.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. This is not the Thomas Crown affair. I mean, students know how to get fake IDs. They've been doing it since, well, since the drinking age dropped or went up to 21. So that's not a huge achievement. And what happened? This student did something for a girlfriend and several other friends allegedly. It wasn't all that sophisticated. So this is not.
They were caught.
This is a mess. This is not a massive conspiracy. This is a breakdown in the College Board's security system, in that they weren't able to catch them immediately when it happened, but they did manage to catch them at the end. So
now, at your school, Hofstra, have there been any discussions about having to take more safeguards to make sure that the students whose scores are coming in are the actual students who took the test?
No, I don't think. We're not in the business of trying to tell the College Board how to run their exam. We rely upon them to do their work. But again, the SATs are just one measure when you're coming to a conclusion about a student's eligibility for your institution. It's one thing, and I think it's overblown in students' minds in terms of the importance of it and how essential it is. And I think, to be honest, the whole extent of the pressure that students feel in terms of what the culture and families and the schools and well, just everybody has brought upon them. I think all of it is a bit over the top on terms of these SATs. The SAT is one tool, one instrument, but there's high school grades, there's GPA. The students in my honors college, I've done studies. The things that predict success academically, where that's defined as higher GPA once you get into college, they come in, there are three things that we look at, and they come in this order. First, high school GPA. Second, class rank. And a distant third is your performance on your SATs. The SATs can help you to figure out whether a student is likely to succeed in the first semester or two, but in terms of knowing whether a student's going to succeed in college, high school grades are the best predictor you have. Yeah,
well, we want to delve into that a little bit more to find out just where does it stand in our country right now, the importance of the SAT tests. Are they overblown? Should there be any change in the way students are evaluated to go on to higher education? We'll talk about that with Dr. Frisna when we return right here on Focus.